Guys, I hate true crime, and Daffy apparently watches a little bit too much of it, as throughout the entirety of the episode Mama Murder, he suspects Pokey of being a serial killer, and I don't really think I'm spoiling anything by saying this. I want to dive into both my analysis and my reaction to this episode, as I think this is a really good episode as a whole that really highlights both Pokey's kindness and kind of stupidity, and Daffy's stupidity and paranoia, and narcissism too. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. We opened the episode up at Pizzeria, but I just want to say, Pokey eating the last slice of pizza while Daffy was overthinking it. Savage move by Pokey. Pokey gets more and more gangster as the series goes on. It's revealed that Pokey has a new job as a caterer, and even though Daffy's kind of a jerk about it, I don't entirely disagree with him here.
Catering? Nobody wants a pig handling their food.
Daffy, unlike Pokey, doesn't have a job, so, he can't afford to pay for his meal. But he says he shouldn't have to pay for his meal because his birthday is next week. So Daffy is one of those people that likes to celebrate a birthday month, probably. God, I hate those people. Bugs proceeds to dine and dash because his girlfriend broke her foot. Wow, Bugs. Thought you were supposed to be the moral one. Bugs arrives at the hospital and Lola proceeds to tell him the story of how she broke her ankle. Turns out it was not because of her wild adventure earlier in the day, which she tried to save a baby who was for some reason hanging out at the top of a very tall building and proceeding to, fall down an elevator shaft, get in a fight with a crow, fall off the building and land on a giant inflatable. Yeah, none of those things broke her ankle. What broke her ankle was getting up on the checkup table at the doctor's office.
She's a keeper.
We flip over to Pokey and Daffy, and Pokey attempts to drop Daffy off at the house, but turns out Daffy doesn't actually have keys to the house, and with Bugs not being home, Daffy can't get into the house. Daffy then puts on these super sweet shades, and man, his coolness went up by a solid couple points. He wants to go to Pokey's house, but Pokey's hesitant to bring Daffy to his house. I wonder why. We arrive at Pokey's house, and for the first time ever in his life, Daffy decides to watch the news.
The guy we're looking for is chubby, short, and bald, with a pig-like nose.
Daffy, being the paranoid freak he is, automatically assumes that the killer could be Pokey. Daffy, for some reason, also thinks it's kind of suspicious that Pokey's kind of a rotisserie chicken. Admittedly, Daffy does have a little bit of a right to be paranoid. I mean, Pokey was acting very suspicious when Daffy came to the house. I mean, he's got newspaper clippings of the killings, and not to mention he matched the description perfectly. Still, Pokey's probably the nicest guy that Daffy knows. I mean, it's kind of a steep conclusion to jump to that he's a serial killer.
Wait, they say never let your attacker take you to a second location. What?
Daffy, who, keep in mind at this stage, firmly believes that Pokey is a serial killer, talks himself into the idea that he'd be safer at Pokey's house than allowing Pokey to drive him home back to Bugs' place. Daffy is just so stupid sometimes. You don't want to stay at the house of a guy that you think is a serial killer, Daffy. Meanwhile, on the count of Bugs taking care of her due to her broken leg, Lola's staying in Daffy and Bugs' family room, and the room looks significantly different than it did before. Bugs looks like he's in hell taking care of his, temporarily disabled needy girlfriend. For once, I think I'd rather be Daffy. Speaking of Daffy, he's still as paranoid as ever. Detective Daffy is, however, on the case and is trying to get to the bottom of this mystery.
Canopy bed? Embroidered pillows? Lace curtains? This is either the bedroom of an 80-year-old woman or a deranged killer.
Daffy briefly comes to his senses and actually starts thinking logically, but then he flips back to his old ways, really fast.
No, that's the face of a killer.
Although at times like this show that Daffy might actually be valid.
It has to be tonight. I think he's on to me. Come pick up Daffy when I'm done with him.
Daffy then starts to think logically again that maybe he's just being paranoid, and then he goes back to thinking illogically really fast again.
Oh no! I've got Stockholm Syndrome! I've fallen in love with my captor!
Yeah, at this stage, Daffy definitely has a right to be a little skeptical of Pokey. Daffy tries to enter a room that he thinks is the bathroom, and Pokey gets suspiciously defensive about him trying to enter that room. Don't get me wrong, Daffy's a paranoid little freak, but I think he's a little justified in being paranoid about Pokey. To be fair, Pokey is just kind of an odd guy, and Daffy should know that by now. Daffy then begins to snoop again and witnesses Porky killing one of his victims. His victim is clearly a woman, and, based off some patterns here, it feels like all of his victims are women, so I don't really know what Daffy's so concerned about. I mean, I don't think Porky's gonna kill him. I don't think he's the demographic he's looking for. Porky catches Daffy snooping in on him, and Daffy immediately runs up to his room and hides under the covers. Kind of like when you were a kid trying to sneak down into the house, to get a good night's snack and your parents bust you. Yeah, very similar situations. Daffy does proceed to have a really good moment of self-awareness, which doesn't happen very often with him.
Why do I want to go in there? Because I was told not to and I have a problem with authority.
We flip back to Bugs dealing with his own little horror story, arriving back home with Chinese food for his girlfriend, and she installed a stair lift for herself to go up and down the stairs in the short period of time she's gonna be staying at the house. I can't imagine how expensive that was. The thing is very slow. It's quite lower than they get a top of the line one. We flip back to Daffy snooping around in a serial killer's house, and he finds a collage of pictures of him in the room he wasn't supposed to go into. Suspicious, Porky. Porky busts Daffy snooping around, and Daffy essentially accuses Porky of being a serial killer. Porky's all like, that's not the case here. Happy birthday, and then gives Daffy a birthday gift. So Daffy was paranoid about Porky the whole time, when Porky was just being a good friend.
So you don't want to murder me?
Why would I want to murder you?
Only a murderer would ask that question.
Daffy then proceeds to try and murder Porky by pouring hot tea all over his face. Daffy then proceeds to beat Porky up and hijack his car. I bet Porky is thinking right now that he really wished he murdered Daffy. Daffy, after basically killing Porky, comes to Pizzeria to realize that the plan the entire time was a surprise birthday party. That's why Porky was acting so suspicious, because he threw a surprise birthday party for Daffy with all of Daffy's friends. I'll admit, really nice for Porky, and Daffy was a paranoid little freak, but Porky definitely could have handled the situation a little bit better. Like, not trying to victim blame here, but Porky could have acted a little less suspicious about everything. Daffy, at his surprise birthday party that Porky just graciously threw for him, decides to accuse Porky of being a serial killer in front of everybody, and every single reason he had got shot down.
What does matter is that you cut the phone line so I couldn't call for help.
Are you talking about the phone in the guest room? It's an antique.
Porky even went as far as making an ice sculpture of Daffy. Dang, Daffy is a really bad friend, and Porky is too good of a friend. Conveniently, just as everything was happening, there was breaking news that the suburban serial killer had been caught. It's not Porky, but it does kind of look like Porky a little bit.
If anyone's gonna murder you, it's me.
You guys heard that? Bugs got first dibs on murdering Daffy. The episode then just sort of ends with Bugs having to simultaneously deal with Daffy and his girlfriend with the broken ankle. And Bugs is in paradise right now. The annoying roommate and the annoying girlfriend. Good times, man. This episode is a really good episode, and it really highlights the two stupidest characters in the entire TV show between Daffy and Lola, and I can't help but enjoy watching them go on their own little journeys of stupidity throughout this episode, and see the straight men and Porky and Bugs play their roles. This is a really good episode that is certainly worth a rewatch. But yeah, thank you for everyone for watching and listening to me yap on about a cartoon that came out 15 years ago. Please consider liking and subscribing if you would like some more torture. See you later.